Hello and welcome to episode 2 of this Kenobi lightsaber series, where we're photorealistically lighting this product inside Blender. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at some of the smaller details on the product and showing you some tips on how you can light these areas specifically, as well as using a HDRI to fill in the details of the product that are a bit dark. And basically, we're going to finalize the lighting in this episode before the next installment. I might add a plane underneath the product, and for this I'll make it completely black. So I'm actually going to unplug, so it's just a void of darkness. And as you can see, as I move it up, you can actually reduce the light on the bottom of the product. And I want to do this but only on one side. So as you can see, as I add this shadow plane here, it's making this side of the product more dark. I actually want to remove and add some more dynamic lighting to the bottom half of this product. Because I only want it to affect the bottom half, I'm going to move this down here. So as you can see, if I check, this shouldn't affect the top of our product, but it is creating shadow on the bottom of our product. Maybe I actually like it with light. So let's see. I think we'll do a combination here. So if I add it about here, and I rotate it, you can see it's adding light. See, now we have some more definition. So before and now after, we have some light here and dark on this side. So let's change this and move it across. Now we have this. Now we have this effect that we have up here. So this is before, and this is after. So we have a little bit more. It's only subtle. Instead of this being filled in, we have a bit more of these stripes that we have up here. Now I like this. I think it looks good. So up here, we've created this darkness with our plane. Down here, this stripe is just being affected by the world. So there is a bit of variance here in the way that we're sort of making that work. Now you can actually see how much a difference our backlight makes now. If we add in our key light, and we add in our sort of second fill light almost a little bit. Let me move this way a bit. That looks good. You can see this makes a massive difference, because without it, the product is not framed. It's hard to find the edge of the product. It kind of looks like it's very thin. It looks like this top section is extremely thin. When we add this back in, you can clearly see where the product, is. I'm getting close to finishing this lighting. What I might do is I might now experiment with some fill lights with the intention that I might not actually keep these in the scene. Also, I'm thinking of rotating the product. Let's add an empty so we can do this better. So Shift A, bring up the creation tab, add an empty. Actually, we can just leave it there, scale it down, select everything, select this last, right click parent object. Now we can just move it freely. I'm actually thinking, would I quite like to see this section, because it's a nice bit of interesting definition. We can still get all the detail here, but we'll also be able to get this here. But I don't want to lose the positioning that we have. So I'm actually going to duplicate the product, and then I'm going to rotate the new one around so that we can see that gold box. I'd like it to be on the side like this, but we're going to move this to where it was. It needs to be exact. Kind of like this. I turn that off now. You can see it's somewhat similar. That would do. Delete that now. But now we have this gold bar here, which I think is actually more interesting than what we had before. So what I like to do with key areas like this is you can actually do area specific lighting with planes. So we already have the kind of effect that I want, and we've done this on previous projects. We've done this on our projects with Core Group recently. Okay, so if you take a look at this example here, this is one of my favorite renders that I've ever done, if I'm honest. So I use this method for these renders. So we lit the cables and the ports, but then the metallic sections were a bit dark and they weren't looking exactly the way we wanted. Now, you can try and sit there and adjust the main lighting forever to get it looking good on the actual cable and the product and the ports, but that is going to take you ages. What we can do instead is that we can use planes near the area that you want to adjust, and then you have direct control. So as you can see here, we have this gradient coming up and we have this black line here. This is being affected by a plane which is near this port in the seed. Same here. We're doing that for this right now. We're going to do that right now. So this is already kind of the way I kind of want it. Kind of have this darkness up here and the light down here, but I want it to be stronger, so we have that effect happening even more. So we're going to add a plane, but we're going to scale this one right down. Okay, I'm going to move it right in front of the scene, not the scene. I'm going to move right in front of the key area we want to light. And we're going to match the rotation as much as we can. I'm going to match the scale as well. Now what's going to happen here is that we're going to get it close, but it might affect the rest of the scene. If it does, that's where you can go into the object properties and you can add light linking. You can then put this section of the product in its own collection and then light link it, so this only affects that. But I don't think that's going to be needed for this right now. No, visibility, ray visibility, we're going to have to turn it off. Move this nice and close. And you can see where it's affecting. Let's make it just bright to start with. We're going to add material and we're going to add emission. Okay, so let's make it very bright just so we can see where it's affecting the scene. The section, sorry. So as you can see, we move that down, it's there, up, it's there. So we can clearly see where it is. Let's make it smaller than the section so we can line it up properly. Let's scale it up. Okay, so now we have a light here which is affecting the section. It's too bright, but this is the way that it is right now. And we'll do a gradient again. So let's try a gradient. Color ramp. Now I think the gradient is going to be from right to left to start with. Increase the, okay, like that. So we can have it going right to left, or we can have it up to down. Kind of like the way it looks from right to left, so we'll do that. But if you wanted it to show you how you do it the other way, you would just rotate this 90 degrees, and then you basically just need to find where the gradient is. So you might have to move around the location. Oh, we found it. There it is. Okay. So, okay, we've got it here now, so we'll just do it from top to bottom. So now you can see this is much better. So we can basically create this gradient that we want. And if we increase the strength, it's going to increase the bottom part of it. If we move this down, it's going to change that as well. If we change this to ease, it will make it even smoother. And if we move it closer, it'll actually make the dark part of it even stronger. I reduce the IOR, you can actually see it even makes it even darker. So if you wanted something really dramatic, you can go like that. But I'll just reduce it a little bit. Not that far. Move it a bit, give it some light gradient there. Okay, that's looking good. I think that's looking very good. You can always also adjust the roughness to create a different effect if you wanted. We'll keep it kind of like that, and I'll increase the saturation a bit. That's also going to increase this saturation, but I'm happy with that as well, which increased that. And yeah, so that's looking good. So now that key area of the product has been lit, I much prefer the way that looks. Just going to quickly go into the camera and also turn this up, the pass part out, which just basically removes around the camera so we can focus on it. There's just one couple thing that I want to do. This area here is a bit too dark, and we can't actually see this button section here. And if you're trying to sell this product, let's say for example this was a replica saber or something, you want it to be visible. You want to see the detail on the saber that you've got there. So it's a little bit too dark. Now we could add a plane to the side of the product, make it quite thin so it doesn't affect to the front, and add a light there. That could work quite well. I think I might do that for the bottom section here, but I'm thinking we're going to use the method that we used in the original file, actually add an HDRI texture to fill in these black sections and add some details. So let's see if that works. Now, like I said, I didn't plan this. Well, I planned to do it, but I didn't finish the scene, and now I'm doing it again. This is my first time around lighting this lightsaber, so let's see what it looks like, and if it needs adjustment, then we will change it. I'm going to add this texture here, Empty Warehouse 01. You can find this HDRI for free from a website called Polyhaven. Let's add a hue and saturation, reduce the saturation, and then let's add our mapping nodes. I did hold that, press Ctrl T, and if that doesn't work for you, it's because you've not got the Node Wrangler add-on turned on. Okay, so now we're going to turn this up, and you can see it completely ruins our light, but don't worry about that at the moment. So we're going to change our world settings, so we're going to duplicate the background. We're going to add a mix shader, plug it into the bottom, a light path, and then we're going to move is camera array to the factor, and that basically just separates the HDRI lighting with the background. So that means that this affects the background, but it won't actually affect the lighting on the scene, and this is what actually affects the lighting on the scene. Now, if you were doing, let's say for example, by the way, we've been obviously setting up this product to light on a black background, but if you were to have this on a white background, it'd probably look a bit too dark, as you can see. So this is where you want to adjust your lighting to work on a light background, but we're going to do it on a black background. So all I want to do is add some very subtle lighting. Okay, very subtle. And as you can see, and this section here has gone from that to that. It's filled it in a bit, but it's still darker. Let's make it even less. It's still darker than it was before, but now it has some slight texture there. We also have this new line going down here. I need to decide whether I like that or not, but as you can see, it has actually lit up our section here. So it's only very subtle, but you can see the differences from here to here. We're just slightly lighting this part of the product more and adding some texture to just some very slight reflections, very slight to the black sections of the lighting. Now I am going to rotate this because I kind of want this line to probably be right on the edge, not so close, because we already have this effect up here with the lines. I want this to be a bit smoother. So this is where we use our mapping node, and we're going to rotate the HDRI. That's going the wrong way, so we'll rotate it this way. And that's a bit closer to what I want. We still have the light here. Well, now it's creating a light there. Now we have lots of little lights there. So let's play around with this for a minute. That looks good up there. Down here it doesn't. Yes, this is good. So you might need to play around for a bit, depending on your product. But I like this because it's added quite a lot of information in respect of reflections in this case, in this section here. So if I turn it off, you can see the difference it makes. And it makes some really nice realistic reflections right there. Also, down here, it's made this section slightly lighter, but still dark. I still want it to be sort of darker than this section. And then also it makes this part look very nice. And also here, it's kind of added a line, but not as strong as before. So I'm very happy with this. Very, very happy. I will now just make another change. I do want this to be slightly more bright because it's still kind of hard to tell what this is. And if you were trying to sell a product, you want it to be, visible. So all we'll do for this is I only really want this to affect this section because I'm really happy with the lighting here and here. So all I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a circle, make it very small. I'm actually just going to match it to this section. Match this here. And this is going to be a very subtle amount of emission. Let's do it like that. We need to add a face, obviously. So select all the faces, press F. If I turn it off in here, and actually, you see we've accidentally made a nice gradient. So I like this quite a lot. It's almost like a highlight light. I'd call this maybe we'd call it a highlight light. It's a light which affects one part of the scene. Same as this. So if we were to sort of group our lights, this is a highlight light. It's highlighting one area of the product that we want to highlight better. And it has no real effect on the rest of the scene, okay? We've got HDRI, which is barely affecting the scene. It's just creating some nice reflections. That's all the HDRI is doing, okay? Then we have, what's this one? Our backlight. So we'll call this the backlight. We have our key light. So this is our main light. I believe it's called key light. But just for the sake of not confusing anyone who might do photography or videography, which I actually did, but I've forgotten the name of all the lights. We'll call it the main because the key light might actually be something else. So we'll just call it main because that just, universally means it's the main source of the front of the product. Then we have another highlight light. And then we have, this one, I would call them both highlight lights. This one's kind of highlighting a bit of this at the bottom, and this light is for the gold section there. Okay, now I just want to do one thing. This is so subtle. Okay, this is so subtle and quite extra, to be honest. But all I want to do, I like the way the light sits on this. I just want to add a plane behind it so that there's a highlight around this edge to make it super clear that this is a circle. Okay, I might have to use light linking here, maybe. Let me use our backlight. Okay, so if I move my backlight to the right, it does what I want it to. So I'm going to duplicate our backlight. I'm going to move it to the right. And as you can see now, it's creating this highlight around this part of the product. And then all we're going to do is we're going to make a new collection within our thing and call it circle. We're going to select it, collection circle, and then we're going to go onto our second backlight, and we're going to go into light linking, shading, light linking, circle. Okay, and now we have what we want, and it should not affect the rest of the scene. As you can see, it's just creating that highlight around the circle, which is what we want. Call it highlight back, and just put in brackets so we know. Okay, so to summarize, backlight specifically for the circle, fill light for the bottom half of the product, highlight for the circle section, which actually now looking at, we can just make a little bit further away like that. Okay. Highlight for the gold section, and then our main light above, which I might make a little bit bigger. And now I'm thinking I might just make this section a bit bigger. So to do that, I need to figure out where it's coming from. It's coming from there. Okay, so I can make that smaller. Okay, now this is looking maybe a bit dark down here. So I might add double R HCRI. Okay, I believe I'm happy with this now. Okay, thanks guys for watching part 2 of this Kenobi series. In the next episode, we're going to be doing the blade and creating the effect, the glow effect within Blender using the compositor and showing you how you can change colors and also change the color of the blade itself. So make sure you subscribe if you want to keep up with this series, and please leave a like below if you enjoyed this video. Also leave a comment if you've been following along and show me your renders. Leave a link to Instagram or Behance or something showing me your renders. Thanks again for watching this video, and I look forward to putting out the final episode of this series next.